Hello everybody here on YouTube and everybody around the world. My name is Rooster, and I'm the one who broke out the secrecies behind what happened in Japan. If you all recall my last video that I made about Japan and how that it was involving Israel in the attacks of the Fukushima nuclear power plant, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the motive of why that the Israeli government did attack the Japanese people and are fixing to get ready to attack the United States. And I'm going to show you why they're going to get ready to attack them, and you're all going to see it. But you must understand that what is about to happen is not the United States and it's not Israel working against each other, but United States working together with Israel. But on the inside, United States is with Israel, and that's kind of complicated to try to explain to you why I say that. But what I'm going to show you here is it first starts out with this article. Okay, what you're seeing here, and I'm going to, if you can see my mouse here, and I hope and pray you can when I'm making this video, is that you can see here Palestinians are weighing on the United States, or excuse me, the United Nations, and are trying to get a statehood declaration recognized to the world that Palestinian existence. Okay, now this is what the Palestinians have proposed to the United Nations, and you're fixing to see some very interesting things here. You already know right now that Israel are completely enemies to Palestine, and the reason why is because Israel wants to make a one-state solution out of the entire Middle East, and Israel has been trying to dismantle and destroy the Palestinian people out of existence, and even occupied one of their cities, which has become the largest prison camp occupied territory ever known to mankind in this century. And what I'm going to show you here is, first of all, this document here, and this is on the Wall Street Journal, which you can see here with your own eyes. And then also, I'm going to show you here, this is also another report on Wall Street Journal. This came out on April the 12th of 2011. The United Nations has given praises to the Palestinian people for preparations for their statehood. And they're all supporting, the United Nations is appearing to support the Palestinian statehood, which in turn has really ticked off the Israeli government. Now, when I put this to the side for just a moment, I'm going to go, you can see here where they praise them, blah blah blah. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to this document. Okay, again, this is on the Fox News, showing you here the Palestinians seek unilateral statehood recognition. This is what you can see here highlighted on this this part right here. And this right here was printed December the 7th, 2010. You got to understand that the Palestinian seeking for statehood has begun since 2009. And I want to show you why here in just a few moments. This whole idea of doing this is pretty much triggered an escalations of Israelis' intention to dismantle any support to the Palestinian people, whether if it's support to with the United Nations or other countries, Japan or whatever, would jump on board to support the Palestinian statehood. This would have very serious implications, and we will get to that here right now. Okay, here you see where the United States and has failed, and says that they will turn to the United Nations, and which of course, and you can see here in this highlight, which I'm going to highlight this whole thing here. You see where it says Palestinians enraged by announcements on failure of talks amid resuming settlements constructions freeze, alongside the promises to resume undirected negotiations instead of declaring Israeli responsible. The Americans are giving the Israelis an opportunity to waste more time, says the Yashar Abab Rabio. Now, when you look at this right here, now of course this document here, excuse me for that, I had a pop up here. The American efforts to revive direct peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians has failed, and we must turn to the broader framework of the international community. Secretary General of the Palestinian Liberation Organization's Executive Committee, Yasser Rabo, said Wednesday. Abad who was visiting the Greece with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, questioned the American announcement that the efforts to resume the negotiations between the sides, despite the failure to reach an agreement on a new settlement construction freeze. Now, you got to understand something. See, the United States is looking to United Nations for what they would suggest to do, right? And trying to give the Palestinian people the right to have a settlement, to be a state-recognized country, and which the Israeli government does not want to happen. And as you can see here, the United States, again, in backstabbing the Palestinian people, makes an agreement with the Israeli government, and this is one hell of a damn bargain that I've ever seen in my life. The U.S. makes a final agreement with the Israeli government and saying to them that we will leave you alone if you will leave the Palestinian people settlements alone, do not build any more for 90 days, and we will give you free fighter jets and many different gifts if you would just respect the 90 days pause of building settlements inside of Palestine, as you can see right here where I'm showing you in this paragraph, which is in the third paragraph. Now, and then after you have reached the 90-day agreement, we will no longer bring to the table issues on talking about peace settlements and with the Palestinian people, and we will leave you completely alone about it, so you can do whatever you would like after that point. What kind of a bargain is that? They give them free gifts for just respecting a 90-day bargain, and then they turn around, they completely refuse to getting involved with the way the Palestinian people are being treated by Israel. Now, as you can see here, this has turned into a very, very serious problem. Now watch what happens. Here, on the Haaretz newspaper, which you can see here clearly on this was taken here on the March the 29th, 2011. Now this is later on, but this has very strong reasons why, because all this has happened since 2009. Now you're fixing to see something that happened, that I caught. Israel threatens unilateral steps if United Nations recognizes the Palestinian state. Okay, not the unilateral that they're referring to is military and attacks on anyone who supports the recognition of Palestinian state. This is basically what it's saying here. In other words, foreign ministries are instructing envoys in 30 countries to send diplomatic protests to host the nation's overplan for steps to vote in the General Assembly. In other words, they're threatening that they're going to be attacking anyone who supports this agenda of making Palestine a one-state solution. Now, watch very carefully what I'm about to show you. This is getting more interesting. Now, this was written here on the November the 8th, 2009. Now we're flashing back in time again. Prime Minister heads to the U.S. under the threat of a Palestinian statehood declaration. And it goes on to reading. Listen to this. This is now showing you that the American people has reached an agreement with the Palestinian people behind the Israeli people, but still they're not against against the Israeli people, but yet they're not really going behind their back. It's all being staged. In other words, the settlement of Palestine is like a bait. Okay, now watch carefully. As you can see here, the reports indicated that the Palestinian Prime Minister Salam Fayyad has reached a secret understanding with the Obama administration over the U.S. recognition of an independent Palestinian state. Now, this is what has concerned the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel because of the settlements that have reached between the Fayyad of Palestine and Obama's administration over recognizing the Palestinian state, which now has launched a very severe threat against the United States, which will come later. You will see exactly how that this is going to work out. Now, watch carefully here. After the threats have been made to any country, including the United Nations, who would support a Palestinian state, then there came this right here. Japan became the first nation, to first fund the program of rebuilding, which you can see right here, rebuilding inside of Jericho, which is where the Jericho wall is. If you all heard this, this came out March the 10th of 2011, just the day before the attacks of the Fukushima nuclear power plant, which we've discussed that and showing you all how that the United States and the Israeli government were involved in this. See, United States is against Israel, but not in secrecy. They're actually supporting Israel. They're all staging all this so that they can get every nation to turn against Israel, but then so that they can weed out all the enemies who would rise up against Israel to use them to target them in the future. And this is what happened. Japan jumped on the idea of rebuilding the Palestinian state and rebuilding Palestine, and they even gave them money to rebuild and to lay the first bricks, which gave their ceremonies on the 10th of March 2011. As you can see here in this article. And then shortly after that, or the very next day, Japan was struck with an earthquake and a tsunami, and also was attacked in their Fukushima nuclear power plant. This came after this document here had broken news. This is also in Wafa. This is Hebrew news, also French news. You can also go and get it. You can tap in and also I'm going to post it all in below the video where you can see it. Now, so what I see here, now that we found the document here by the Haaretz newspaper, which I'm going to go back here, we found the document where the United States have been supporting also the settlement, statehood, and declarations of recognition for the Palestinian people. And they've been doing it in behind the back, which is on purpose so that it can rise up a justification to target United States, which is where you're going to see where the Madrid fault lines will be here pretty soon, are going to be attacked, which we've already discussed that in one of my videos about the Madrid fault lines are going to be staged, and it's actually going to be a real earthquake that's going to be man-made and created to create a massive catastrophic event, just like as what we witnessed inside of Japan. Now, I'm going to reiterate over what I've showed you in that, but anyhow, all these links that you see here are all going to be posted below the video, and you can all see them and put them all together, and you can read exactly what's going on here, that there is a definite bait that's set by the United Nations and the Israeli government alongside with agreements with all these other countries, Japan, United States, into weeding out all the enemies who stand against Israel, and all the nations, enemy nations that stand against Israel, as putting a bullseye on them when they take the bait, which is what Japan did. They took the bait, then it became a target, and they got attacked, and next thing you know, this is what the end results were, and I'm going to show you how this is now. So let me put this away here real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you first of all the article, and I'm going to minimize this so y'all can all see it. Both of them standing side by side. Okay. Now, first of all, we have Israel, which is this document here. Israel tests a worm called crucial in nuclear delay. You can all see this right here on the title. But it also goes into details, and it shows how they were targeting a nuclear power plant inside of Iran. This is what this is about. and how that they succeeded in bragging about how they succeeded in doing it. Okay, now this is what we discussed before already, but I wanted to show you the motive to what brought us to this point right here. Okay, and how that Israel managed to swindle their way into a nuclear power plant to plant this virus. Okay, now what I'm going to show you here is on the Haaretz newspaper, which you can all see that this is the Haaretz newspaper here. I've just got it minimized on purpose so that we can show you two different articles together at the same time. Here you see Israel, which is right here. Here you see Israel firm, which secured the Japanese nuclear plant. This is all they're referring to, the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Says workers there putting their lives on the line. The name of the company that was in charge of the nuclear power plant that was installing that came from Israel, that was installing security systems, was called Magna BSP, which you'll see right here in this paragraph. Okay. In this paragraph, they go on to admit that they have been in Japan. Okay, this is the second paragraph of the article. They admit that Magna BSP was inside of Japan for a year. Okay. Now, they're also bragging about the two workers that were found dead inside of the basement were also missing, and they lost connection to them, and they don't know if they're still alive. Blah blah blah, and this goes on into that idea. But anyhow, if you scroll down a little bit further into the article, you will see here where the Israeli company Magna BSP was installing security systems and cameras inside of the Fukushima nuclear power plant. This is right below the picture, or right next to the picture when you enlarge it. But what interests me was this, and I'm going to show you here. Let me highlight it over here, and then let me highlight it back over here on this document. Because this is the significance, so you can see it. Right here. Is that Magna BSP was established by Simboni about 10 years ago and is owned by several partners based in Dimona. You see that where it says Dimona? Now, Magna BSP claims that they're from Dimona and that they have been in business for 10 years. But when I went to go research Dimona, I found out that the worm, the Stuxnet virus, was created out of the same location, which you see right here on this document. You see here, the Dimona complex in Negev desert is famous as the heavily guarded heart of Israel's never acknowledged nuclear arms program facility. In other words, this place, this Magna BSP came from the same location because Dimona is in the middle of the desert and is not a city, and in fact it's so heavily guarded that even civilian population is not even allowed to even have access in this location. So we found out that Magna BSP, if this was a legitimate corporation, why are they stationed in a nuclear facilities arms, or shall I say a nuclear arms facility, and establishing their business there for security systems that target nuclear power plants? In other words, you're seeing a company that is actually being forged. This is not an actual business. These are agents undercover that had access to the nuclear facility inside of Japan to plant their nuclear Stuxnet virus to dismantle it and cause self-destruct. Now, when I go here, I look at this where they brag again. This is more information, which I'm going to enlarge this print here. They go on to bragging about how that they succeeded in planting the Stuxnet virus in the Natanz Bushehr nuclear sites, and how they succeeded in dismantling a nuclear plant inside of Natanz. Okay, and it just goes on, and just bragging about how that this virus attacked the Germans' computer security systems known as Siemens. The Siemens machines were subject to the attack. That this Stuxnet virus only works in is it only works successfully in Siemens machines, and also the Windows software that are installed in these systems, it also attacks as well, online and offline. So anyhow, you see them bragging about it, how Israel brags about it, even on the Haaretz newspaper, right? And then they brag about it on the BBC. The U.S. and Israeli were behind the Stuxnet claims, researchers. Okay, according to the research inside of the BBC, they also admitted that they were doing it, that they were the ones that caused the sabotage in there. And also, again, the Israeli security chief celebrates the Stuxnet virus attacks. And this is they even made videos in celebrating on their success on doing it. And now we've already discussed this already in other videos, but I wanted to give you all an update on the motive. So I'm putting all this in here so it refreshes your memory on what we discussed earlier. And then I'm going to open up this link right here. And here you see where the Haaretz newspaper, also on April the 20th, 2011, this report came out on March the 14th. It stated, Israel recalls diplomats' families from Japan, says no connections to the nuclear fears. In other words, what you're seeing here is that Israel was defending themselves on March the 14th when they gave an interview to the Haaretz newspaper. They were defending themselves of having no involvements with the nuclear power plant. But the problem is that nobody was even accusing the Israeli government of having any kind of involvements in it at the time. In fact, no one had any idea. But it shows you that Israel definitely was involved in attacking the government and the nation of Japan with the Fukushima nuclear meltdown, including the earthquake and the tsunami. The earthquake and tsunami became a cover story or a cover-up from a crime that was being committed in the nuclear power plant. And this is the reason why I said Israel, and I showed you all in this video here, that Israel had a plot to attack unilaterally any country that supported the rebuilding of Palestine statehood inside of Palestine. And Japan, and which I showed you a document, was one of those countries who supported the agenda. United States is also another one of those countries that supported the idea in secrecy, but only so that it would dismantle and justify a dismantling of United States, and which is what I think is going to happen when the Madrid fault lines takes place with these exercises. I think they're going to actually attack United States again with a massive catastrophic event that will far succeed in greater than any catastrophics the United States nation has ever experienced in the history of the American nation. But this is what I personally believe it's going to go down, and that's the reason why that they're preparing for the Madrid fault lines, because they're preparing for the attack on the United States because of their support for the Palestinian statehood. But remember, this is all in the open door subject matter, but it's all very well staged and planned even by the own governments of the United States. It's not being just carried out by Israel, it's being carried out by Israeli supporters and Israeli controlled United States government to allow this and to make this happen. So please, when you look at all this information, and it will be posted below the video once the video is uploaded, please do me a favor. Look at all the information. Connect all the dots together, and you can see that Israel did attack Japan and now are fixing to get ready to attack United States again. But this time, far much more dangerously destructive than any attacks that have ever been done on the mainland of the United States. Take this note and take this information as serious as I can make it for all of you. Research everything I'm telling you, and you can see what's about to happen. United States will founder if they do not wake up now. Time is running out on this game. And this is a plot that's been carried out for a very long time, and this is exactly what they want you to see. They want you to know that this is coming to this point. We have to be strong, resilient, and alert to everything that's happening right now, because we're not being told the truth by anybody, by any mainstream media. The only person that can rely on truth is yourself, and how much you obtain in knowledge and information that you look for and research. But anyhow, by saying that, guys, this is not about dooms and glooms. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to attempt to scare anybody. I'm trying to attempt to wake the public up to keep these events, these terrifying events, from occurring or from happening. The mainstream media is behind it. The governments are behind it. Egypt is behind it. All of these governments are all behind what you're seeing taking place right now. We have to be stronger than them. You have to consider we outnumber them. Christians and Christians alike, religious orders and all around the world, know we have the power to take back our nation. The question is, are you going to resist it, or are you going to buckle down and cop out and take the coward way out and just give up on your lives? Take me seriously on this, guys. This is no game, no laughing matter. I did not come here to try to share with all of you all this information if I didn't care. I do care for everybody, and I do care that we have a world in the future for all of our children, and a future for even our families to thrive in. That this world must live on and must be protected. By saying that, thank you for the time and allowing me to take this time to share with you all this information. It's very difficult to siphon through all this. I understand it's long-winded, and I understand this video is very long, but you have to understand, in order for you to understand what you're reading, is I had to interpret all the dots that I found and connect them for you in case you do not understand them. So this video does have to be long-winded in order to get out all the information. Please understand that I had to do it. But anyhow, by saying that, I'll catch y'all next time around until I see some more information. I'm going to keep y'all updated on the Madrid fault lines, because that's where I believe the next attack is going to be. Hope and praying that it isn't, I hope and pray that we can stop it from happening, but the likability is probably right at the very brink of impossible. But what I am going to tell you is prepare for hell. It's about to come. Get out of the area and protect your families. Please, get out of there. It's a trap. Thank you, guys.